Hi, it's Aranis. I'm with Assets and Arbitrage, and we are coming to you today. It's a beautiful day in the mountains of Ixtlahuaca de Rayon in Estado de Mexico.
Yeah, so today we wanted to do a show. We probably have talked about this in a past episode, but we wanted to talk about the signals of collapse. And there's a lot of signals going around in collapse in the Western world. So Aaron has a great outline put together so that we can talk about that.
So, society actually works when all of its citizens collectively contribute to the infrastructure. And how the citizens contribute to infrastructure is typically via their occupations. So,
Okay.
the mailman, the fireman, the police, the baker, the butcher, and so on and so forth. And we all come together in this great little community. And as the community begins to expand and scale out, it becomes a society. So, shortages in multiple areas during economic downturns
Mm-hmm.
are huge red flags of societal collapse. JFK had noted that in Chinese, the word crisis consisted of two characters. The first character is danger, and the second character is opportunity. So
Mm-hmm.
just understand during any crisis, there are opportunities. This is assets and arbitrage.
Yep.
So we're always talking about different opportunities. But the most important part is being able to identify the issues.
Mm-hmm.
That way you can come up with solutions, resolutions, so on and so forth. Oh no. I made notes, y'all, so my notes are flying away. It's beautiful outside, but it's also kind of breezy. So, even understanding what the issues are is hard to do because of all of the distractions we have in the US. You know, social media, we tend to have a more focus on entertainment, on sports, which is entertainment, music, so on and so forth. Everybody can tell you about J Lo and Ben's wedding. They can tell you about Dwayne the Rock Johnson wanting to be Megan Thee Stallion's pet, what Jay Z did this weekend, Beyonce's new album. But when we start asking you about what your economy is looking like, a lot of people have no idea. They know that prices are rising. They know that gas is expensive. They know that groceries are missing off the shelf and way too expensive. So, what we're going to do is we're going to show you all of the areas, not all, we're going to show you a lot of areas where there is an issue,
Mm-hmm.
and you guys should really tune in and just kind of focus and figure out
Mm-hmm.
what's going on.
All right.
So, teachers across academia from from preschool, kindergarten, all the way through to the university level have shortages. I think there were over 700 shortages in the region of Ohio. This is due to poor environment, poor pay, poor culture, um, just understanding that the teachers have to spend so much money in student loans to gain their credentials, to gain the ability to teach whatever lessons they teach. So they have that student loan burden, and then they don't get paid that much.
Mm-hmm.
Medicine, there's a medicine shortage, and this is due to there's not enough people to manufacture it.
Yep.
There's not enough people to deliver it. There aren't enough scientists to come up to do the research and development to improve technology, improve innovation, and to relook at medications that might need improvements or to create new medications. Childcare, not much to say about that, but if I don't have anybody to watch my kids, for the
Mm-hmm.
people who work physically on site, I can't go to work. Labor shortage. So there's a labor shortage in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go back into some of the other industries, but the labor shortage in general is typically due to long COVID, is due to poor working conditions, poor pay, poor culture, poor environments.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, Facebook is using an algorithm to lay off 16% of their workforce. I know that number 16 doesn't seem big. That's a huge number
Yeah.
when you're talking about a workforce.
Mm-hmm.
And keep in mind, we all use Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So just understanding, like, isn't this profit generating? Then you just come out with the metaverse.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't people hopping into the metaverse? Why are you laying off 16% of your workforce? Coinbase laid off 18% of their employees. You got to remember, was it just last year? Coinbase was doing fantastic. Nas made $40 million off of his investments. And here we are at 18% employee layoff. So, what's the general labor force issue? What contributes to that? There is a higher interest in entertainment. People don't want to be firefighters. They don't want to be, what's another hard job? Sanitation workers, waste
Yeah.
management
Yeah.
workers.
Utility.
You don't want to climb the electrical pole for Duke
Mhm.
Energy.
Construction.
Why do that when I can be a YouTuber?
Mm-hmm.
Why do that when I can have an OnlyFans account?
Right.
Why do it when I can just sit at home and do the things that I'm interested in instead of going to these environments where they're not going to appreciate me?
Mm-hmm.
There's also a lack of skills. So
Yeah.
when we say lack of skills, what we're saying is not only are there shortages in the workplace, but you have to understand that people are retiring.
Mm-hmm.
So your skilled labor is leaving that environment. So we didn't hire anyone new, and then the skill that we actually have is leaving.
Yes.
Huge problem.
Mm-hmm.
Huge problem. We read an article where it said that Cincinnati Fire Department has 300 eligible people to retire within the next, I think it was 24 to 36 months.
Yep. Exactly.
They don't hire 300 people a year.
Right.
I think they only hire, what did you say, about 30 people in the class?
Yeah, 30 in the class, so it would take. When they do it once a year, it would take a
10
while.
years.
Yeah, so
It takes 10 years, and
yes,
you're not
problem.
replacing the skill because they're new.
I know, yeah.
So you've lost the skill. It's going to take 10 years just to replace the manpower, but not the skill. How long does it take to replace the skill? Probably another 5 to 10 years.
Right.
And the skill has left in the 24 to 36 period.
Mm-hmm.
24 to 36 month period. So we are looking at huge areas of collapse.
Yeah, and I just want to just add on there. So when they say areas of collapse, societal collapse, they're talking about Western world nations, right? The United States, Canada, Australia, places like that, the UK, Germany. This is where the collapse is at, right? And also what she was saying about, just as far as firefighters, but I mean, you could take it out to different trades, HVAC, electricians, what have you, welders. They took the
Sure.
skilled trades out of the high schools, right? So people don't really get these trades anymore. They don't get these training. So, like you say, when you get people they're eligible to retire, you almost are below. No, you're not almost. You're below replacement on replacing the employees. So, yeah, that's the problem that we're having. We're going to talk about birth rate in a little bit, but I'll let her go on. We'll
We
get
talked about lack of skills, but there's
Mm-hmm.
also a lack of discipline.
Mm-hmm.
So this newer generation, because they're not doing things the way we did it,
Mm-hmm.
they do end up losing some of the discipline that we did acquire when we were younger.
Right.
For your 80s babies, your 90s babies, when you got to high school, you typically got a job in fast food or retail. Right? Those were typically the places that hired teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to get up at a certain time, dress a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
be in a certain place at a certain time, accomplish certain tasks within a certain time, et cetera, et cetera. So in doing that, we did acquire discipline. Right? It's at a very low level, but you did acquire discipline. When you go to high school, you're in charge of your projects. If you were in sports, you had to do your schoolwork or else you couldn't play.
Right.
So nowadays, there are a lot of kids who are still doing remote school. There is no gym class. There is no, well, yeah, I play sports, but the sports is separate from school. So they didn't know that I didn't do my homework and so on and so forth. It's just a different time. And people are losing their skill. And you're seeing that even in networking with other people, you'll notice that ghosting is the new thing. right? You have a lot of people who are interviewing for jobs, going through the whole process, they're not showing up to their first day of work.
Nope.
If you're networking with people, you'll notice you'll say, hey, let's get together and do this thing or have this meeting or collaborate on this. Let's do this on this day at this time.
Yep.
They don't show up. They don't read your messages. They leave you unread. I know they're doing the ghosting thing in dating. That's weird. So you're just kind of like, this is new.
Mm-hmm.
Right? These things are new. We didn't have these things back in the day, but these behaviors, the psychology of this new behavior is contributing heavily to aspects of societal collapse.
Well, I will say this though, because we're talking about, like I said, we're talking about millennials and
Gen Z.
Gen Z, but mostly millennials right now. We talked about this in previous show about the turnings. The millennials are the hero archetype,
Hmm.
so they are the one who will turn this around. The Gen Z will be the artiste,
Hmm.
so they will be the artiste right behind the hero archetype. So that's something to keep in mind.
Now let me add a disclaimer. We're talking about societal collapse,
Hmm.
which you need to be aware of, but we're talking about the danger, but we're also talking about the opportunity.
Hmm.
Things often do have to be destroyed in order to be rebuilt even better,
Hmm.
right? Every civilization has been destroyed,
Yep.
right? For those of you who know your history,
Hmm.
every civilization that has ever lived has been destroyed. What happens? A new civilization rises up, and
Yeah.
that civilization is even better than the last. There's technology, there's innovation, there's this, there's that, there's a third. Understand that America, which is actually a blueprint of Rome, you guys
Okay.
don't know that it's a republic. The United States is a republic. Y'all
Mm-hmm.
think it's a democracy, it's a republic. It is actually built off the blueprint of Rome.
Mm-hmm.
It's way more technologically advanced and innovative than Rome was. And Rome was way ahead of its time at the time it was Rome.
Mm-hmm.
So they tell you the great Rome has fallen, Rome is burning. Your Rome is burning now. And you
Mm-hmm.
just want to be able to identify it and say, okay, how can I build a plan in order to rebuild and do better, but
Yep.
also remain solvent during the crisis part?
Yes.
So that's really what we're doing today.
And the crisis part is what we had talked about before the fourth turning. Um, in the fourth turning, it is the crisis. So
Hmm.
that's what we're talking about, getting through the crisis part of the fourth turning.
Another aspect is the lack of punctuality. Things are
Yeah.
not happening on time when they're supposed to happen. And what that does is it creates like a domino effect after the fact, and the lack of stability in the job market. So what's happening is this new era of people, because they have a lack of stability in the job market, it's difficult for them to acquire mastery in specific skill sets
Mm-hmm.
in order to, I'm going to say, contribute to it in a way to create stability. It's a lot of moving around, it's a lot of lateral moves, and then you're seeing like a bottleneck into higher paying, higher tier jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to bring that up. The next shortage you guys should be aware of are car shortages. So they don't have the labor to manufacture new cars. They have supply shortages with technology. So your M1 processor, I can't remember the name of the other chip that goes in the car.
The
The
semiconductors.
semiconductor, thank
Yeah.
you, babe.
Mm-hmm.
Parts, supplies. So even if you have the manufacturing labor in
Mm-hmm.
order to create the part, create the supply, we can't get it delivered in a timely manner because we don't have people to deliver it, and it's not getting to where it needs to be, which means that factories are getting grounded, things aren't happening,
Right.
and the car is not available for purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Aviation shortages. This is huge. We are always talking about travel, traveling abroad.
Mm-hmm.
Even just traveling to visit family is now becoming extremely difficult. You have shortages in mechanics, parts, supplies, labor in manufacturing, labor in delivery.
Mm-hmm.
There's a shortage in pilots. This is skilled labor.
Yes.
Pilots, it's a hard turnaround.
Mm-hmm.
Pilots require X number of hours in order to meet the minimum
Mm-hmm.
level of mastery in flying and landing an aircraft.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time. The older pilots are retiring. There are not enough new pilots to cover the skilled labor. And remember, whenever we talk about this, understand that even if you hire people, when the skill leaves, it's a significant turnaround to get to that level of mastery which is left. This pilot's been a pilot for 30 years. You can't get 30 years of experience in 6 months. You can't make up the time gap. Staff, crew, and attendance. This is interesting because staff, crew, and attendance shortage is due to poor working conditions, poor working hours, and poor behavior of the market. What does that mean? It means that flight attendants are now required to be bouncers, like a bouncer at a drunk club, dealing with people who don't know how to act, not only on the aircraft, but within the airport itself, right? They have to break up fights, physically escort people off the aircraft, so on and so forth. For those of you who saw the Mike Tyson video, notice that in that 7-minute clip, when the guy was being aggressive towards Mike and then Mike got mad, you never saw a flight attendant intervene at all. That says something. They just stood there and watched that whole thing go down. And I think at no point during the video did we see a flight attendant intervene. Finally, at the end, I think the guy was escorted off the plane, but it shouldn't have happened in the first place because he should have been escorted off from the get-go. Firefighters. You know, firefighters are near and dear to my heart. So you have a shortage of emergency personnel across the country, right? We talk about Cincinnati just because hubby had worked there, but this is all across the country. There's a medicine shortage. So, and we're talking emergency medicine. One of the articles that I read talked about a drug called Narcan. Narcan is dispensed when people are having opioid overdose, typically heroin, and what happens is it literally brings them back to life. The opioid situation has gotten so out of hand that the Narcan can't be manufactured and delivered fast enough in order to cover the areas that need it. So you're going to see a lot more opioid related deaths because A, there's not enough personnel to distribute it, there's not enough Narcan, so on and so forth. Healthcare shortage. So you guys are going to see a significant healthcare shortage due to burnout. Poor environment, poor working hours, poor working conditions. There's a lack of interest in entering into that market because of those things. The skilled labor. Not only are they retiring, but we are transitioning out of the industry, right? So you have 2 people in this household that have transitioned out of healthcare. We worked in healthcare for over 15 years. I now work in tech. He works in finance. So you want to start looking at that. We've talked to several of you guys out there who have also shared with us that you're leaving healthcare for tech and for other industries. So just understand that when you're not feeling well, you got to go to the ED. There's a lot of, the emergency department. It's going to be longer waiting times, not enough medication. It's going to take longer to see certain doctors. When you get a referral in order to see a specialist, that referral is going to be weeks and maybe months until you can see them. The doctor shortage, just understands a huge turnaround. It takes 8 to 10 years of school for them just to be a resident. Yeah. Just to be the doctor you don't want to see. Because a lot of people would prefer to see the doctor. So you can't make up 30 years of experience for doctors in 10 years. So just keep that in mind. There's truck driver shortages that directly correlates to the supply chains. I know you guys are going to Kroger, Publix, whatever supermarkets in your local area, noticing the shelves are empty longer, right? Yep. There's a huge supply chain shortage. Shipping containers are sitting on the dock. Some of them are just still hanging out in the sea. It's just not enough supplies being manufactured, not enough people to deliver them. And again, when things don't happen on time, it creates that domino effect, which is what you see when you go to the store. Even Walmart said that they're having significant shortages on non-foods. So tires, toilet paper, paper towels, hot sauce, et cetera, et cetera. And lastly, poor waste management. Now, poor waste management this was actually interesting because there's no new labor being added to their workforce, meaning nobody wants to be a garbage man. Nobody wants to work the city sewage. No one wants to work the areas where they have to, clean up a dump, raise a site, so on and so forth. Right. Did you want to say anything on that bit?
No, do you?
So, I know that you guys have been seeing the news and saying, Aaron, what you're saying sounds crazy because I just saw on the news today they added 879,000 jobs to the US market. Here's what they're telling you. They're just not telling you in that report because your administration has its agenda. They want to look good. They're not doing a great job. Um, 44% of those jobs that are added to that job market. Well, I don't know about 44% of the 879, so I don't want to say that number. But I'm saying Newsweek had interviewed 722 US execs for top Forbes 1,000 companies, Forbes 500 companies. 44% of job offers are being rescinded. So, yes, you added the job to the job market and then you rescinded my offer. 52% foresee a hiring freeze. So they're sending the information for the report to say, yeah, we added these jobs. And once they send that off, they're now creating a hiring freeze for the corporation. Layoffs. Let's talk about it. It says 52%, I'm sorry, it says 33% foresee layoffs. Ford Motor, Walmart, Peloton, Tesla, Remax, Netflix, Google, JP Morgan Chase, Caravan. These are major companies. These are Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies that are saying, yep, we're laying off between 10 to 20% of our labor force.
Mm.
There was a company recently named Pink Energy. It's a solar energy company. They hired 37 people and laid them off 4 days in the training. Society is collapsing all around you. These stories are scattered all across media. They're typically stories no one's interested in. So we're telling you the truth.
Okay.
But we're hoping that you're more interested in this. That's why the media always hypes up entertainment stories. J-Lo and Ben spent 3 days
Yeah,
celebrating
we
their
get okay.
wedding.
So let's get to the so now you got to get to the birth rate because that's where
Mm-hmm. Problem is.
the real problem is at the birth rate, right? So they're saying you're having below replacement in Western world nations,
Mm-hmm.
right? So let's go through it. I have this app as an app that I use for the kids homeschool, but it has some demographics and it was interesting. So I came across it. So we can look at some of the demographics of these different countries. So if you're saying you're below replacement, so we'll start with a country like Germany. So you have Germany, and so in Germany, the median age of the people in Germany are 47.8 years. 47.8 years, basically 48 years old. And like we said, the problem with that is that the median age of women is above um, childbearing age,
Right.
right? So the life expectancy is 81.5 years. And then when they say the fertility is 1.6 children per woman. All right, so that's Germany, which is what would be considered Western world. Let's do what do you want to do? Let's do Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So Australia, what we're gonna get Australia is the median age is 44 and a half years. So pretty much above childbearing age, and 82.3 years is your life expectancy, and your fertility is 1.5 children per woman. So that is below replacement. We'll do another one. Let's go. Let's do Canada because they're talking about Canada as well, right? So their median age a little lower, 41.8 years. Their life expectancy is 83.8 years, and 1.6 child per woman. So you can see kind of I don't know, see kind of a pattern right
Yeah.
here. And of course, let's do United States. I mean, why not? We got you do the UK too, but we'll do the United States first. So the median age in the United States, a little lower, 38 and a half years. So you're still in the childbearing range. Later on, though, life expectancy, 80.6 years, 1.8 children per woman. So that's what you're getting from the United States. And let's do the United Kingdom. These are the Western worlds. And so here you're getting 40.6 years as your median age, and your life expectancy 81.9. 1.6 children per woman. So that is below replacement demographics. But Let's contrast that because now if you go to a place, we're gonna do Senegal. Go to a place like Senegal. So Senegal's median age is 19.4 years. So the median age is 19 years old. Contrast that with Australia, which is like 44, 45. Life expectancy is lower,
Yeah.
70 years, but fertility is higher, 4.3 children per woman. Like, oh, okay, that's
So
Senegal.
black country, she has about 4 children versus white country, she's having less than 2 children.
Right. We'll do a couple others. We'll do Ethiopia because it's interesting. So Ethiopia, same thing. Median age is 19.8 years. Now the life expectancy, is lower,
It's low.
68 years. That's a little low. It's a little
It's
low, and
low.
then, but fertility is 4 children per woman. So that you're starting to see these contrasts. And you can go through these different countries. So these are like emerging countries, frontier countries. What would be the other one we were
Let's do
talking about?
Nigeria.
Nigeria. Okay.
As you know, it's heavily populated.
It's populated.
Yeah, it is.
So, oh boy, Nigeria's median age is 18.6 years. So
you don't live long.
yeah, the life expectancy is a little shaky. 61 years for life expectancy. That's not great. But fertility per woman is 4.6. But with the lower life expectancy and the higher fertility, you're above replacement.
Right.
You're above replacement. Where when you have the higher median age and the lower fertility of women, you're below replacement.
Right.
So you could just see that contrast in countries. That's why I say below replacement. It comes to the Western world, and it's a nice way to say that I guess that the white population of the Western world are dying faster than they're being born, and you can see that in just the demographics. You go to a place like let's do it, Austria. We all love Austria, great country. Their median age is 44 and a half years. Now they got a life expectancy of 82, which is good, but it's 1.5 children per woman. So they become below replacement, right? And when you go to like a place like what's a good country? We're gonna do Eritrea. We like Eritrea. We like Eritrea. It's a great place. So their median age is 20 years. 20 years old. You can live to be 67. But the fertility per woman is 3.6. So you're above replacement. And that's what it is because what it gets down to, and shout out to Dr. Jordan B. Peterson. He talks about this. What he says is you won't have enough young people to do the jobs. The structural jobs, like we mentioned, sanitation, utility, fire, police, what else?
All of those labor-intensive jobs.
Yeah, construction. So, I mean, these are jobs that the young people typically do. And if you don't have enough young people to do these jobs, this is part of the society collapse.
So we gave you a whole bunch of problems. Don't bring me your problems, bring me solutions. We are going to give you guys some ways to kind of mitigate what you're seeing that's happening now and the things that are happening around you. So one of the interesting things I want to tell you that we do that help us not only remain solvent but prosperous through crisis is I remember we got married young, and in the middle of the, I'm going to say like 5 or 6 years in, Simon decided that he wanted to add a component to our marriage that he felt would be what he felt that would be productive. He runs the household and the marriage like a business. Not to say we don't have the romantic part of the marriage, but running it as a business helps to streamline processes. It helps to add discipline, which is very important. And it helps to be able to identify and sometimes quickly come up with solutions, right?
Okay.
So just having that mindset will help you kind of identify the problems and look at them in a way that could help you. First and foremost, you want to cut costs, right? The prices are going to continue to rise. Inflation is going to continue to run away. Review your expenses with a fine tooth comb. Where can you cut back? Where can you identify waste? For those of you who watched the show we had probably about a month or so ago, I talked about a woman whose husband approached her and explained to her that after looking at the bank ledger, she spends over $700 a month in Starbucks.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Starbucks isn't a restaurant like Cheesecake Factory or Red Lobster or Pricey Club where you can see, oh, I can see how that got away from me. It's coffee and sandwiches and, little biscuits and stuff. So just understanding, she had no idea. She would just go, this is $3, this is $5. You can kind of see it's no big deal twice a day, 3 times a day, every single day.
Right.
Get rid of unused subscriptions. Shout out to the chief and his wife, Angie. They came to visit us, and Angie has sat down and talked to me about a great app that she has, which goes through her phone to see unused subscriptions, things that you're paying for, because $1.99 isn't a big deal here. $2.99 isn't a big deal there. $7.99 isn't a big deal there. But when you have multiple apps that you're not using or aren't even productive for you, that begins to add up month over month, year over year.
Yeah.
So go through your bank ledger and look at the subscriptions you have, even if they're gym subscriptions, right? Yes, go to the gym, be healthy, but if you know you're not going to the gym, cut the subscription off, buy you some silver.
Yeah.
Bulk shopping for some families may be more economic. May even be economic for some smaller families, right? Because you don't have to go shopping as much, you don't have to use as much gas, so on and so forth. Make room for investments. If you're getting rid of all these piddly subscriptions anyway, you have Hulu, Netflix, Peacock, Paramount, Stars, and you're like, oh, I only need Netflix and Hulu. With the other 3 or 4 subscriptions you no longer have, take that money that you were spending every single month anyway, get you a subscription. I'm sorry, get you some precious metals. You can even do the automatic payments for precious metals now.
Yeah, precious metals, but we always big up Bitcoin. You can get that shout out to Swan Bitcoin. You can get that automatic automatic purchase. And I think now, when I went over there and looked this last a couple weeks ago, that you can get a daily purchase. So you want to do it daily to smooth out the volatility. You want to do it weekly, bi-weekly or monthly, but get just kind of like we always say, set it and forget it, right? Put it doesn't have to be that much money. I mean, the daily, I believe, and you guys check me on this, but I believe the daily might be as low as $10 a day, right? So that would be $300 a month, but smooths out the volatility. Instead of buying it for $300 one time a month, you get it for the price it is on a daily basis. So you have things like that really help you build your wealth, build out and scale up, as we like to say.
Another thing that businesses would do is they would drive innovation-led growth for their organization. Your house is an organization. Whether there's one of you, right? You just be like a sole prop. But if there's more of you, you have your CEO, you have your COO, you have the children who would be your employees in a sense.
Yeah.
Do something different to gain a result you never had. So you want to find ways to just think differently so you can see things differently and you can gain new and productive perspectives. You can do this by reading books, watching influencers, but you want to find ways and create ways to add new perspectives to mindsets. You want to add new approaches to problems because a lot of times people see problems and failure as really bad things.
You're right.
Again, we want to remind you of what JFK saw. He saw danger, but then he saw opportunity.
Yep.
And the Chinese, obviously, they've been around forever. They understood that, which is why he was able to discover a new way of thinking about things. Practice doing things that make you uncomfortable. Believe it or not, finding ways to save money or taking wasted money and putting it towards something productive is extremely uncomfortable for a lot of people.
Yeah.
They're okay with, I'm okay with having one more television streaming subscription I'm not going to use. I'm not comfortable buying an ounce of silver. I'm not comfortable buying $25 of Bitcoin.
Right.
So you want to start to see things differently, and that's why you want to do things that make you uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You want to drive productivity. Spend time researching strategic moves for yourself and your family,
Yeah.
but you have to put your plans into action.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense to see an opportunity and not seize it. Okay, that's very important. A lot of people see opportunities, they have all these great ideas, these innovative ideas,
Yeah.
and they never seize the opportunity. So it's important to put your plans into action. As an organization, you want to lay off the people and the things who decrease productivity,
Yeah.
inspiration, and motivation.
Mm-hmm.
If you have friends who don't inspire you,
Mm-hmm.
who are constantly projecting their fears onto you, you might have to lay them off.
Okay.
Nobody likes to lay off anyone, but as an organization, you see it as a necessity. It needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
When we talked about those subscriptions and the things you spend money on that create waste or that are wasteful, you're technically laying those things off because they're non-productive.
Mm-hmm.
Lastly, you want to identify and address new opportunity areas. This could be new employment, a side hustle that provides a product or a service while generating income. It could be a shift in your residence. If you live in San Antonio and you're getting beat down with car insurance, which is the highest in the nation, maybe you move to Cincinnati, Ohio, which is the lowest in the nation, right? It's a lower cost of living. And I'm not caping for Cincinnati, I'm just giving you guys a example, right? We did something similar. We said, the US is expensive. We're going to shift our residents to Mexico,
Right.
right? I can get actually a better quality of living for much less.
Mm-hmm.
Opportunity investments. Figure out what interests you investment wise and do it. Seize that opportunity. Buy the dip. You want to talk a little bit about just understanding that, like, people see where the price is low and they panic and sweat his hands, but just understanding that everything's on sale.
Yeah, I mean, it's just if you, I mean, the simple way to talk about it is if you went to the store and something was on sale, you would buy it. So sometimes when you see things, the prices are lower of these assets, digital assets, physical assets, and the price is lower, you go ahead and buy it. It's on sale. You're actually getting a discounted purchase. Like I said, we're still huge Bitcoin investors. We see the price dip down, we just buy more. I mean, we have it automated. It's where you get our automated buys weekly. But still, if I see a low price, maybe sometime in the middle of the night, I say, "Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and grab some." So yeah, that we like gold and silver, platinum, palladium. These are things that we buy when we see the discount. Because when the price moves, I mean, when the price moves up, you know what you have. So that it's a great opportunity. I always look at it as like buying something that's on sale, and the price will typically go back up. And we talk a lot about dollar cost averaging because sometimes you can't time the market, right? If you, I mean, the technical analysis, you can try to see different technicals on charts and things where you say, "Oh, this is a good time to buy." But for the people who aren't into technical analysis, maybe they just dollar cost average over time, smooth out volatility, and you'll have a nice, you'll have a good cost basis.
So, lastly, we want to physically create innovation initiatives. A lot of people, and I laugh because you do it. A lot of people have the ability and have the skill to build plans and ideas
Hmm.
and come up with these great solutions
Yep.
in their head,
Okay.
right? That is a superpower. Other people like me, not so much. I would suggest physically writing these things down so that you can see them. You can work them, you can rework them.
Hmm.
You want to be able to list the problems that you identified. Because sometimes in your mind, stuff's real abstract. You have stuff here, you have stuff here.
Okay.
If you write it down, you can have it all in one place. You can add stuff, you can take stuff away. You can list the ideas that you have for them. If you
Mm-hmm.
said, you know what, I am thinking about moving abroad, maybe write the countries down that interest you and why.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes,
Or
indeed.
why not? Right?
Yes,
You
it
might have
did.
said, you know what, I was feeling Colombia, but when I took my business intention trip, I wasn't really feeling the colonia I was in, or the barrio for Colombia.
Yeah.
I wasn't really feeling how high the currency is to a dollar. There's a lot of math in my mind. I personally don't like that about Colombia. Mexico is much easier for me to do the transactions. I can tell when my change is wrong. I can tell when you're gringoing me, this isn't market price. But
Mhm.
you want to list the why and the maybe why not.
Mhm.
You want to list the opportunities that you have.
Mhm.
List your available resources. And when I say list your available resources, people tend to think they have more money than they do. I know a lot of people think that, oh, I would think that I have less money. No, people think they have more money than they do, which is how they get themselves into trouble. If you
Okay.
start listing your available resources, you start listing your assets. I know I have X number of dollars in Bitcoin. You might begin to see and understand, like, I don't have as much Bitcoin as I thought I did, even though I felt like I was being consistent in buying it. Maybe I should sign up for an automatic program, and that can
Mhm.
get me back on track.
Yep.
um
Most
I
definitely.
thought I had more silver, or you could even say, you know what, I have a lot more money in my budget to buy a few more ounces of silver a month, so I can increase that, so I can increase my assets.
That's
It's just
definitely. Mhm.
coming up with a plan.
Right.
You want to build a firm foundation for post-crisis growth.
Mhm.
That way you can not only remain solvent during the crisis, but when the crisis is over, you're on top.
Right.
Right, you're not um straddling water. You're not, struggling in order to stay above water. And that way you can flourish moving forward. The last thing I would suggest for you guys to do is discuss these events with your children. You want to, if you're doing a physical initiative anyway, sit down with your kids and talk to them. Are you guys aware of what's going on as far as current events go? When we were kids, we used to have to do current events all the time. So just as children, we kind of knew what was going on in the economy.
Yep. Most
Even in
definitely.
elementary school, I had an idea of Reaganomics,
Mhm.
right? Because we used to have to do the current events every single week. Kids don't do that stuff in
Right.
school anymore. We have to we have to add that so that our kids understand what's going on economically.
Mhm.
So they know what the terms mean when they hear them: economic downturn,
Mhm.
recession,
Mhm.
inflation, price action. Even as far as when you guys are doing the assets, let them understand what dips are, what lettuce hands are, what diamond hands are, because those are actually great skills that they can have for other things in life, right? Don't
And,
panic right
and
away.
another thing, I mean, not to go
Hmm.
off topic, but when you said inflation, one of my things about I mean, here in Mexico, I'm not sure about United States. We're talking about shrinkflation. So we got to talk about that shrinkflation,
Hmm.
right? So you just have to understand where the opportunities lie, where you may be getting, for lack of a better term, ripped off. But
Like your cereal box is skinnier.
yeah, cereal it's the same price, but it's just less cereal. So we talk about that shrinkflation. I noticed that a lot here. You go to the store and things are shrinkflation. Basically, things are smaller, same price. Throws you off because you think you're paying the same price, but you're actually getting less of the product. So
So what's it called when it's smaller and it costs more? It's still
oh,
shrinkflation, right?
that's just outright
Rip
inflation.
off.
Yeah, it beat me. It just beat me out of it. So yeah. That's all we wanted to come to you with today. Let's as they say, let's land this plane. Um, how does this all tie into building wealth in Bitcoin? How would you say?
Well, for one, you really
Mhm.
do, as an organization,
Mhm.
I'm gonna keep calling you guys that.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
really do want to start looking at ways that you can take, you call it the treasury.
Treasury reserve assets
Hmm.
if you have a corporation or business or something
But
like
you're
that.
a business. Remember, we said
Right.
that you're running
Yep.
your household like a business.
Yep.
You're running your
Treasury.
marriage like a business, or your relationship like a business. So what you want to do is you want to have everything written down, because businesses have these things written down so they can analyze them and
Mm.
see where are we wasting money. And
Mm-hmm.
then we're going to take that wasted money and we are going to transfer it
Yep.
to Bitcoin, precious metals, NFTs, whatever it is you're into, whatever it is you're willing to invest in
Hmm.
that you know is going to appreciate in value,
Yep. Yes, indeed. Yes,
right? So
indeed.
you already spent the money, you're already spending that money. You're just transferring it to a depreciating asset into an appreciating
Right.
asset.
And Michael Saylor gave you that playbook about taking his cash as far as on his balance sheet and
Mm-hmm.
transferring it into Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset.
There we go.
So he gave you that playbook. A lot of people were nervous about it because the volatility. That's fine, we understand that, but you know, it's a bad to me. It's a bad investment to sit in cash. Sometimes you have cash from a strategic
Yeah.
standpoint, right? Cash on the sideline so you
Mm-hmm.
can invest. But I don't know if you want your treasury reserve asset to be the USD.
Because let's be honest, for most households, when
Hmm.
you're sitting on cash, you're gonna spend it.
Right, right.
Right? You're not saving it. And saving now because you're not really getting any interest on it.
No interest at all.
So, but the truth of the matter is the practical reality is you're gonna spend it.
Hmm.
So you might as well transfer it into an asset that can just sit and
Hmm.
appreciate.
Yeah.
For those of you who are interested in running your household like a business, Amazon.com got great books. Start with something simple, how to start a business. You
Right.
take that skill set and you transfer it in a way that's meaningful to your household and your family, right? It takes a lot of the emotion
Yeah.
out of some of the things you guys do day to day, month to month, year to year. And it's a different way to see and look at things. So you will start to develop the skill of identifying problems
Yeah.
easily, analyzing them, and having some sort of solution resolution
Yeah. Most definitely.
form in your mind.
Yeah, most definitely. So, we didn't want to keep you too long. Do we have any other points we wanted to hit?
No, we apologize for not having a show on Monday. I'm still recuperating. Sometimes I overdo it. I'm stubborn.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
working on that, but
yeah,
I did
yeah.
want to do a show this week for you guys. So thank you for being patient with us. We are gonna see you next week on time
Yeah,
on Monday.
we got some shows. Like I said, I always you guys let us know things, topics you would like to talk about. We're still gonna get to this Bitcoin is zero with the Robert Breedlove
Yeah.
article. We're gonna get at that. So that's still in the works. It's kind of technical, so we're working on it.
Yeah.
We're gonna do, like I said, we're gonna do the quantum field theory,
Hmm.
unified field theory with Zoe Williams. So we're gonna bring Zoe Williams back for that, so he can chop up some good game with us. We got some good interviews
Yeah, in the works.
in the works, right? So we're gonna bring some some different people, some different perspectives, just to chop it up, and like we say, chopping up good game out here. So yeah, nothing more than that, right?
No, I want to shout out to the Jump Out Girls. I'm going to
Yeah,
contact you. We are trying to collaborate with
yeah, the
our
jump out
sister
girls.
cousins, right? I found out we were cousins in the show they did. So I want to shout out our sister cousins. We do
Most
want to
definitely.
network with them, and you guys will see a lot more, hopefully, GOC collaborations.
Yeah, definitely. We're, like I said, we're reaching out to people. Just it just takes time, like she said. When you reach out,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, we're gonna have some different. We're trying to bring a little bit of variety.
Mm-hmm.
So just be on the lookout for that. But otherwise, that's all we got.
See you
That's
next
it.
week.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
Bye.
indeed.